Hey there, film fans. My name is Jeff.
I'm Dave.
And I'm John, and welcome back to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we'll challenge one another to discuss movies, both new and old, with a strictly positive critical eye.
That's right. And to avoid lazy negativity, we have decided generously to make this a little bit.
And generally, we generally drink as
generally,
well.
we make this a drinking game. That's right. So anytime we say anything negative at all about each other, about this movie, about how Dave can only perform sexually with a live naked singer in the room, you're going to hear this sound. That sound means we're taking a drink, and we hope you drink along with us.
So, pour yourself a glass, and remember, kids, don't do drugs, and certainly don't do drugs and make movies.
Cheers. Which is funny because I feel like half of my notes for 2019's Midsommar is how bad does John want to do mushrooms in Sweden? I feel like half of my notes are that. So here you are.
By the way, I'm just going to
kids.
turn on my my negativity jar donation counter because I'm still doing that thing where I'm donating instead of drinking.
Good boy, Dave. Are you naming a different charity each episode, or generally speaking,
each month? I'm going to donate. Okay, I'm going to rack it up over the month, and then next month I'll pick something else. But so I'm currently up to $17.50 for the Los Angeles Fire Department Foundation.
Guys, it's been raining all day today.
Has it really?
Tomorrow.
Wait, has it really?
Yeah, and I haven't checked news. Rain. I haven't checked the news tonight, but around now-ish, like it was supposed to pick up again around the Palisades too. So they're still like hoping mudslides and shit won't happen, but it has been kind of a steady rain. It's been pretty nice, at least where I'm living, and I hope nothing terrible is happening in the burn scars.
Imagine you like live through the fire, you hear this rumbling over the door, there's this mud coming down the hill, you're like, oh, get
like,
fucked.
God damn it. Yeah. Honestly, really dangerous shit. So, but it has been raining, which of course is good.
Guys, you have to check us out on our YouTube. Dave has synced everything. Dave is an audio engineer and a visual engineer and a DP and a million other things, but he has sunk the show. But we are on YouTube, so you can watch our plays. John is wearing his Elon University sweatshirt where we went to school. But you have to see his background because he's got the Midsommar, and it's so culty. It looks like these people are looking at you. So watching John talk about how amazing it is to have rain in California while all of these cult Swedish people are staring at you, it's so heavenly. Check us out on the socials.
The image, right? I tried to always pick a fun one. This is a good one for our podcast.
This is definitely a good one. It's very symmetric.
It made me realize when I was picking this is a beautifully wide frame, full sensor cinematography throughout a lot of this movie, and so much of it, until I was picking the pictures, I didn't realize it is center framed. So I was trying to find something that had flanking or off center, and there weren't even that many options. I'm not criticizing it. Then I saw this one and I was like, oh,
yeah,
my head is going to be just floating right in between.
It makes you look like the cult theater leader we thought you were always going to turn into.
Yeah, all you need are mushrooms in Sweden.
Give me time. Yeah.
Both of you. To both of you.
I do. Every time you direct a movie, you're a bit of a cult leader. So
yeah, true.
Drake.
Cults.
So people, we are the random year generator spun 2019. So what we do here on the podcast is we give you the context, what happened in 2019, the film news, the world news, and then we talk about this movie in our featured conversation. Today, of course, is Midsommar, Ari Aster's follow-up to Hereditary. He made other movies as well. We have also talked about Hereditary, and we've talked about Beau is Afraid. So if you enjoy hearing us, go back and listen to that. But we don't just get to them because we are a drinking show. We still are. Dave's keeping us honest here, but we still are. Mm-hmm. So we like to get the show flowing, get the drinks flowing, before we talk about the movies. It keeps us fun. And then we buzz each other whenever we say anything negative. So check the show notes if you want to get to Hereditary. Well, go back to our previous episodes if you want Hereditary, but check the show notes if you want to just get your Midsommar content and hear what we will have to say about that. But we're going to talk a little bit. I do have a mini review.
Ooh.
I have a mini review. John, do you have a mini review?
I think you've already talked about it, but I'll just throw my 2 cents in. I do.
Dave?
I'm saving my stuff for what you've been watching.
So these are our mini reviews. They're spoiler free. I actually got feedback from a family member of mine who really appreciated John's mini review, but actually thought it was too mini, which is funny because we don't always get, I wish you talked more about that movie.
Which one?
Anora.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you always want more. Wouldn't you rather want more than want less?
I agree.
We're still trying to find the sweet spot, family member, but thank you.
Yeah. But this is our mini review, which means that we haven't all necessarily seen the movie. So we're going to talk, we're going to drink, we're going to gripe. We didn't do any gripes last week because we did news and we caught up. We didn't do a single gripe.
It was our celebratory return.
So again, if you want to we keep the show notes honest, we keep them real. And nowadays, Spotify especially and Apple Music, they literally tell you what chapter you're on right now. So if you look at your fucking phone, it'll tell you what chapter we're in. That's how accurate we are with the shit. If you need to get your Midsommar stuff, scoot ahead and get to that shit. Listen to our world events context. It's really, really fun from 2019. It was the last great year for a lot of money in cinema. Maybe we'll get back there someday, but oh my God, there was so much money at the box office in 2019. We're going to talk about it soon, but we got shit to do first. John, sponsors, then we'll do some news and gripes. Let's keep us moving. John, you want to shout our sponsors out?
We have some sponsors. You know this man's name. He makes beer, delicious brews, and his last name is Barozzo. Carlos Barozzo. You can find his handle in our show notes at cbarozzo.beer. If you want to go there, follow him, like and love all of his stories, his beer making, his journeys. He takes you on some rides with where he likes to drink in Queens and all around the greater New York City area. Fun stuff. Miss you, Carlos. Thanks for sending me a happy birthday message, by the way. I forgot to tell you that last week. He texts me every year, this man. We worked together for several years, and he texts me every single year. So kind. I miss you, buddy. And we also have a music artist in residence who provides the music for this episode and every single motherfucking episode. That artist's name is Dasein. That's Dasein, Dasein. Once again, go to the show notes. You can find a link to all of their stuff, but they are on the usual music platforms. So go to all the places you listen to music, search Dasein, enjoy. You're welcome. A lot of great long-form albums to listen to. Don't wait. Do it now. Do it now.
Fuck yeah.
Just so Dasein knows, everyone noticed we had new theme music. We picked another section from the track. And so far, no strikes on YouTube for copyright.
Wow. Dasein, thank you so much. Yeah. So I just double checked here. So Ari Astor had made a lot of shorts, but he hadn't written or directed a feature before Hereditary in 2018. And this is 2019. And I feel like there's that old trope where it's like, it's always about the second one, because anybody can take your whole life to make that first album, but if you can follow it up with your second album, which essentially means you either have some songs that didn't make it to the first album that are also awesome, or you actually start, we go, holy shit. It's like the Seinfeld thing. It's like, oh my God, now we actually have to write 22 of these. And it's like, he did Hereditary. This is the next year. 2018 was Hereditary. This is 2019 that he did Midsommar.
I will never watch Hereditary again because it fucked me up so much. So
we made you watch it again. Yeah. So you've seen it at least twice. But this is so exciting. John has never seen it before. Dave, had you seen Midsommar before?
Yeah.
We talked about it. Okay, so we're gonna get to it soon, but mini reviews first, unless we have some news. Dave, do you have any news, anything you want to shout out, anything going on in world events?
Not at the moment. Nope. Don't want to talk about it.
Don't want to talk about it. We are on day 7 of the new regime, ladies and gentlemen.
I heard one thing, and I don't know enough about it, but let's shout it out there. Is it true that Ryan Gosling is entering the Star Wars universe?
He's in talks. Yes.
So weird. Ryan Gosling might be wielding
He's going to be that little fucker that tried to sell death sticks in one of the trilogies.
That's funny. You're accurate, but true. Really funny. We'll see. Because I hear Mando season 4 is actually going to be a movie, right? Is that the next thing?
It is, yes.
Fuck, I knew this was going to happen with these streaming shows. Same thing with Game of Thrones. We're like, no, it's all about the content. And it's like, why don't we go to the box office?
We got some inside baseball on that. Our friend Chris Hurt, who is guest hosted on this show, my picture editor friend,
we gotta have him back.
Currently assistant picture editing the director's cut for Mando 4, which is going to be the movie. They just started the director's cut. He had lunch with him last week, and he said they're about 3 days into it. So they're literally just starting to edit, but he says, fun. Shot the whole thing here in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Hey, yo.
Oh my God.
The whole thing here.
Wait. They still make movies in Los Angeles?
Yeah, some of the incentives are back.
When Jon Favreau makes a movie, he does not leave this town. he really...
Can I make a request? So in my mini review, which I'm going to get to in a second, there's a whole lot of Chopin. Can I make a request that all movies, can you just use a live orchestra? Because that's the Hans Zimmer thing. That's the John Williams thing. It's like Los Angeles was like the last bastion of live orchestras writing recording new music. Can we keep, I know that you can make good shit electronically. Can you please make your electronic like temp tracks or recording tracks for on set, but can you please keep using these live orchestras? I want to keep hearing these scores.
If Family Guy can do it, you can.
well,
hell yeah.
if the endless amount of money the family has.
Yeah.
It's great. Even if you can't do the entire thing with all these wonderful ways to produce, let's say, the core of a score, pay for some additional live recording elements that will raise the bar on the quality of your recording. If you mix in live strings or just a few instruments, it will change everything. If you don't have the money to record with the entire fucking score.
Yeah.
What did we listen to? What did we watch? And we looked it up and we were like, whoa, Under the Silver Lake, right? Did we?
Yeah,
Jeff, was that a real or a not real orchestra? It blew our minds, whatever we learned.
Well, Dave looked it up too because Dave wanted to know if all the because there were a lot of those original songs in that like greatest hits sequence with that guy that was like sort of the stand-in for the devil. That was literally just he did like 20 covers in a row, but like 10-second things. I don't know. I feel like it was real. I feel like it was live because we were like, this score fucked us up, and then we looked it up and we're like, holy shit, they actually did. I feel like it was live. You're gonna have to look it up.
I am gonna look it up. Why don't you tell us about
Right,
your gripe? Wait, you want a gripe or mini review first?
We'll do mini review first.
Okay.
So I saw A Real Pain.
Nice.
This is the Jesse Eisenberg written and directed feature film co-starring Kieran Culkin, which of course this past week was nominated for 2 Oscars, one for Jesse Eisenberg for his original screenplay and one for Kieran Culkin for Best Supporting Actor. He did win the Golden Globe, which makes him the de facto frontrunner, if that is something that you care about, if you go to Las Vegas with that. And it also kind of fits into the theme of Angela's Class that I know we had some feedback from last week where I talked about all the Holocaust things, because what they do is in this movie, and very quickly in the movie, it's about 2 cousins, Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin play cousins, who adult life has, they're not as close as they used to be, of course. Their grandmother passed away. This is not a spoiler. Their grandmother passed away before the movie takes place. And she actually left the 2 of them money to go visit Poland, where she grew up. That's the basic premise, is that it's, and then of course you have to ask, like, did the grandma know that they're not as close as they used to be, etc. Or is this just something that it was in her will, whatever. Who knows if the money even matters, but that's basically how it starts, is them going to the airport and then they go to Poland very much right away. The whole thing is in Poland and it's 95 minutes. It's very short. It's on Hulu right now. So you can watch it right now from home. So Kieran Culkin is nominated for this Oscar. He looks and sounds a lot like Kieran Culkin, as you might imagine. He is definitely the biggest reason to watch this movie, but honest to God, it's a slow burn with Jesse Eisenberg. I would say the best thing about this movie is that the framing, where Kieran Culkin, he actually probably has more lines than Jesse Eisenberg in this movie, but he's so obviously the supporting character. And I mean that with all, because wait, where is it? Nope, not that one. Where is it? Dave, where is it? Where's category fraud? Where is it? Did you take my button away?
No, it's funny that you don't know what pops up when you push that button.
Where's the category fraud button?
This one?
I don't see it either.
Is this category fraud?
Is it missing from your panel? I'll put it back.
Yeah, fuck.
Push that other button again. Your screen.
The cam off one?
There you go. Thank you.
Cam on? Anyway, so he is so him. They go on a tour of Poland and they go to a concentration camp and they go to their grandmother's house. But it's kind of an odd couple kind of thing is how they're pitching it. But it's Kieran Culkin, he's a firecracker. He's so charming and wonderful and talkative, but he's not overburdening. If he was the lead of the movie, it would be exhausting. So like Jesse Eisenberg is already getting Woody Allen comparisons with this because it's, he's writing and directing his own movies now and he kind of looks like like that New York
he's not getting
Jew.
all the comparisons.
Well, yeah, and yeah. Anyway, fuck you, yeah. But the framing of this is so good because he's never exhausting, even though he's pushing a lot of boundaries, Jesse Eisenberg. And the idea of it's a real pain. They go to a Holocaust museum, so there's a lot of pain that they're talking about. But then also what's real and what's not. They're going first class to a Holocaust museum. So it's like, are we like pretending to feel sorry? Because here we are eating caviar in first class while we're going to like a Holocaust. So there's a lot of those kind of questions, but it's really just about this buddy situation. And it's really hard to, honestly, I've been thinking about this for 24 hours. It's hard to describe why it's so touching, but and because it's not just like, you have this problem, you just became this corporate shill, you live in your mom's basement. It's not just like that. There's something about it that's so relatable, but also like just gets you. It's so moving and it happens quickly because it's so real. So Kieran Culkin will just say something or a look is just so moving and meaningful. So it's comedy, it's funny, but it's also it's a hard genre to fill. But I will say, if you just put it on and you just want a nice smooth 95 minutes, it's gonna hit you, but it's not gonna be like that long, like, oh, this movie, I can't wait for. It's like it happens so fast, and I just think it's a really fun special movie that could easily could have been like an indie movie. Yeah, I guess what I'm saying. He might be the front runner for Best Supporting Actor. And it's like, it easily could be like a supporting movie where it's like, we wanted to go to grandma's house in the Holocaust or whatever. It's like, okay, but there's something about the way that this is done where it's hard to define it in a genre, but it just feels so naturalistic and so wonderful. I think it's fantastic. There you go. A real pain.
Nice.
Cool.
Oh, yeah, I did want to see it. He was on, I think he was on Bill Maher last week, and he was talking about it. He became a citizen of Poland, Jesse Eisenberg, after doing
Jesse
this.
Eisenberg, yeah.
Because his family
he earns his moment.
Poland.
Because he doesn't talk a lot for a while. Kieran Culkin is the talker of the two of them in The Odd Couple, but then he has his moment. He has his moments, really.
I thought it was funny. I'm just literally quoting what they said from the interview, but people who don't watch real time might find this interesting, that Emma Stone was one of the producers on it, and he was initially planning on playing Kieran's part. And Emma was like, you can't play an asshole and direct the movie.
Yeah.
Like that won't work. I thought that was just good advice from a production and filmmaking perspective. You can't be a fucking dick and then be the tyrant. Hopefully you're not a mean director, but you can't be the person who's totally in control and be that much of a loose asshole cannon in that part. So he made him kind of pivot, but it ended up, I think, yielding a really, really great product that everybody's apparently very proud of.
And I would try to let that go when you watch the movie, but it's so obvious. You're going to start this movie knowing what John just said, and you're going to sit there and be like, no fucking way should Jesse Eisenberg have been that character. It's going to be immediate. You're going to sit there and be like, I can't believe you thought he would be that other character. Forget about that other stuff, even though it's important. And Kieran Culkin's the kind of guy that would show up, and he apparently memorizes quickly because he's been doing this since he was a kid. This is on Smartlist, John. So here we are shouting out other pods. And he would sit there, he would go to Jesse in the morning at like 6 in the morning and be like, what are we shooting today? And Jesse would be like, are you kidding me? Like, I've been, setting my shots up for months here. And he'd be like, just tell me what are we doing? And he's like, are you not looking at the schedule? He's like, of course, I kind of looked at it, but like, I don't know, what the fuck? What are we shooting? And like, and apparently that dichotomy found its way onto the screen. And so I can't imagine Jesse Eisenberg playing that.
And not in this interview, but like way long ago. What did it premiere? Sundance? Like when it was premiering, whatever festival it premiered at. I saw an interview with him and he talked about how Kieran, that kind of story, but he went further to say, and then I would be kind of freaking out like, oh shit, Kieran hasn't prepared. So he would have this giant monologue like this. He was referencing this one scene. I don't know what he's talking about. Of course, I haven't seen it yet, but he said, and like, I realized he had not memorized it yet, much yet, probably prepared like what I want from that scene. So he goes away to his trailer and he comes back like minutes later. And he's like, all right, I'm ready. And I'm like, okay, well, shit. And I'm like scrambled in my head and I'm like trying to like tell him like what I want from it and like what the motivations are and everything. He said, Kieran would be like, stop. I can't, don't talk to me. I can't think about any of that stuff. And he would just like be like, just let me try it. And he would just do it. And like, apparently like all the notes were there, every beat, just better than he could have imagined. Like he is just that kind of live wire actor where you do just want to kind of put them in front of a camera and just let them go. And whatever they're going to surprise you with is probably going to be more interesting than anything you could have thought of ahead of time.
So my last highlight is it's not just a clever actor flailing, because when the best moments he has are those moments that are responses, those moments that are just listening, responding, and not just like, I can fucking make this shit up. It's like those when Jesse finally like turns around and then you see Kieran's reaction shots. That's why he should maybe win an Oscar. Like he's really, really great in this movie. So
that's great.
It might be the performance of the year. So check it out.
All right, I'll just do a very quick one because you already talked about it, but I did see Complete Unknown the other night. I guess I'll give this perspective as someone who, and I know this might sound sacrilege, but Al, if you still listen, you know, and the world will know now that I've never been moved or responded to folk music. And I'm including Bob Dylan in that. And I know he kind of transcends that. Like I've read his lyrics and been very moved. He's a brilliant, brilliant writer. It's obvious. It's objectively true. But I still have never wanted or enjoyed listening to his music, if I'm being honest with you. Some of the covers of his songs, I have trouble getting past the voice. I know that sounds fucking trite and people have said that before and I'm sorry. But here's my mini review of that movie where you hear every fucking famous song he's ever sung in less than 90 minutes.
Yeah, they bang him out. Every famous folk song he ever sung.
Sure. until he goes to the electric thing, which I'll get to that in just a second. So this is coming from someone who, like, I don't give a shit about this material. And you still are going to enjoy the acting across the board is so fantastic that I don't really think you need to know or care about the music. The music performances are there's so many of them that if you don't really like that music, you might be in your head a little bit like, okay, they're just singing every song that I've ever heard of before. They like tried to squeeze every Dylan song they could into it. And there were a few moments where I was like, I kind of wanted to learn more about him and have a little bit less sing songs. But ultimately, he is so compelling in that character that I did find myself being Timothée Chalamet, that I did find myself understanding that period of music history that, again, I don't care that he started playing his electric guitar. I just don't give a shit. So I had a little trouble connecting to that final climax. And I still enjoyed the movie. So I'm not trying to sound negative there. I don't care about what this movie is about. And I don't care about the climax of this movie in terms of music history. And I still enjoyed watching it. And you still are overwhelmed by his genius, which I guess that was the point of this movie. There was a little bit of me that thought like, are we sucking the Dylan dick a little too hard here of the genius thing? Like he's clearly a genius, but like they really only saw him as a genius in this movie. It's still moving because there's still something so unattainable about him. And I think he still has that kind of persona today that he gets away with it. And I think everybody who was considering seeing it, whether you love or don't really care about Bob Dylan, I still think it's worth watching. And I heard somebody say this last night too, and I'll shut up after this. There aren't a lot of like young male movie stars anymore. The industry shifted. I think there's a good amount of women who are in between ages of like 20 and 34. There's a lot of them. There aren't that many men. Timothée is obviously one of them. He's one of the only ones that can like get a movie made. And I think some people are kind of, and I mean this with respect to Timothée Chalamet, I think he's a great actor. I think a lot of people are kind of sick of only seeing one face all the time. This movie will remind you of like why he keeps getting these opportunities. Yeah. He's so fantastic in it that it is kind of undeniable. And I think this more than Dune, more than Call Me By Your Name, where those were more breakout. I think this might be the movie where he kind of is in that DiCaprio space now, where you're like, of course he's going to be helming one of some of the better movies of every single year for the rest of his life. I think he's proved it, and I think this is the one that is going to probably solidify being in that space where he is going to exclusively make the best prestige material every single season. And I'm excited to watch the rest of his fucking career. All right, I got it. Let's go.
Exciting. Dave, anything else to add before we do some gripes?
No, I have nothing there.
Do you have a gripe?
I could have a gripe.
You could have a gripe. You ready to rock? We're going to set the 1 minute gripe timer.
Sure.
All right, 1 minute, spoiler free. Dave, gripe your ass off. Let's go.
What the fuck is going on with social media bagging the shit out of Amelia Perez right now?
Oh, man, they got hot and heavy as soon as those Oscar nominations
As soon as the Oscar nominations came out, everyone's like, this movie's shit, and here's why. And it's like, this week I'm actually gonna make the time to fucking watch it, and it better suck. Because if it doesn't suck, I'm gonna be coming for those people on the internet.
There's no way it sucks,
right?
You know what I mean?
It sucks. Like, there's no way it sucks.
No one's doing this as a publicity stunt. I mean, I get it. Netflix is probably campaigning really fucking hard for nominations, but still, that only influences things so far.
Totally. Yeah. Good. Thank you for saying that, dude. Somebody was telling me that the other night. One of my Mexican-American friends was telling me the other night that like the Mexican community is like coming after it too.
Yeah, it's like, bad. It's a bad representation.
Everybody likes to pile on. We know that.
It was made by a French director.
This is why I'm off social media, you guys. I'll say this on the podcast. I don't give a fuck. I deactivated
That's why you're not liking my reels.
I deactivated Facebook. I want to get off Instagram like too, and I feel like I can't. If for the podcast's sake, I know you guys do all the heavy lifting anyway, but yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like shit's getting weird. I don't want to be a part of that world anymore.
Did you see our last post last week? No, you've never seen any fucking thing we posted. Go ahead, delete that Instagram. Fuck it.
Send me a text.
We could talk about things. All right, I have a lot of I have a backlog of gripes because we didn't do one last week, but I'll do it.
He's very upset.
Ready?
He's got gripe blue balls.
It might not be about movies though.
Go.
Can you spray the poop spray before you poop? not after. I mean, we all know what it's like to walk into a bathroom where you clearly just dropped a bomb in there and then you're like, go, and then you spray quickly and then open the door as if that quick spray is just going to have unleashed a legion of smell-killing chemicals on this poop smell. Do it beforehand. Get it in the air. Start to build up your barricade before you actually poop. So that way, maybe there's a fighting chance that those odors never actually escape the toilet. But it's unbelievable when you walk into a bathroom and it's so stuffy because not only does it smell really bad, but you also have all those fumes. And it's like 2 for 1. It's like, I wish you didn't even, I would take the smell over the congestion that I get from that. Give your fighters a chance. Spray the spray before you actually go. I promise you it works.
Dave, I want you to scrub through. I want to know the stats on how many of Jeff's gripes have to do with bowel movements and in general bathroom hygiene, bathroom scenarios.
And also, like, those sprays come with specially designed things that like grip onto the smelly particles like a fucking velociraptor taking down a boar.
Have you been into a bathroom right after someone sprayed a spray after they pooped? You can smell both.
No, but I've seen the look on their face when they came out.
Matches, bro. Matches.
Matches actually, for some reason, work the best. Isn't it funny where the first things are better than the new things? We've had matches since well before these poop sprays, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing. And then you're like, matches work the best. That's why I have matches in both of my bathrooms in my home. Anything else you guys want to add to this?
That was fantastic.
You've added
That's all
enough.
I can think. I can almost smell it. I can smell a mixture of floral shit just wafting around me.
I thought you said you're
right
going to
now.
smell matches. I'm like, no, that's just LA.
No, these guys know what I'm talking about.
I hope our listeners too. Let's segue to an ad. Dave, set the ad break here. I'm kidding, but we do actually get ads now, which is really fucking fun. I don't know. You got to do the timestamp. Here we go. Are you guys ready?
Where they're going to come? We could play to them. Give us a chance to play to it.
I set them, or Dave sets them, really, but I set them.
I don't set them.
I thought you set them.
No.
Then how do I know?
And here's a word from our not sponsors.
Guys, all of my sponsors have been for senior citizens. They've been for like Depends diapers
you keep talking
and
about
retirement
poop
homes.
issues, dude. You keep talking about hemorrhoids and poop smell and struggling in the bathroom.
Shut up.
The AI for our podcast believes that you're like 83.
I had a friend thank me today for my recommendations. And it's a friend you know, Mark.
Yes.
Thanked me.
We know. We all get the fucking thread about your assholes.
Oh, he did it in the thread? Did he do it in the thread?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Well, consider this podcast a thread. Are you guys ready to talk about 2019?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
Dave, I don't know where you put the ad break in there. I don't know. Who fucking cares? Okay, guys. 2019. This is our third time talking about this. If you count the box office fucking summer box office face-off that we did, where we pitted the best summer movies against each other. We did that. It was really fun. The best summer movies of all time. We did that. We watched a whole lot of movies from a whole lot of years.
We did that. Yeah.
2019 was the last year we did because it was the last summer movie before 2020 and everything changed. So, what was the highest grossing movie of 2019? That's where we like to start. We like to start with the box office. Was the highest grossing movie? Any guesses between the two of you? Dave, you might actually have a guess this week. Dave, can you guess,
Dave
please?
knows it. Dave knows it.
Nope, no idea.
Yeah, you do, bitch.
Shut the fuck up, Dave. You know what the highest grossing movie of 2019 was. What was it?
2019. Was it one of the Avengers films?
Okay, can I be a little more specific?
I would say Endgame.
Yes, sir.
Dave finally gets one of these. That's right. The 3 highest grossing movies of all time begin with the letter A. And 4 of the top 6, I think. But that's right. It goes. Avatar is still number 1. So whatever everybody says about Endgame became maybe the Avatar re-release before the sequel, which I know our friend Mark that we just talked about, his butthole issues. I know that he saw. I don't know how many people went and saw Avatar before they watched Avatar 2, because that sounds like a very long day at the cinema where you're in 3D. Half of which is underwater. The other half is basically in space. So this movie, yes, it's sort of past Avatar, but then with the re-releases, I don't know how these fucking thing works. I just do the research. It seems like right now, Avatar 1 is still the highest grossing movie of all time, but Avengers Endgame is number 2. And Avatar The Way of Water is now number 3. But this is $2.794 billion for Avengers Endgame. And I should say that $858 million was domestic, which is definitely the highest grossing of all time.
What you want to look at for how, what you want to look at for how successful a Marvel movie is how many people go and see the movie after it. Because I'm willing to bet that number dropped substantially for the next Marvel film.
Yeah.
Sure.
And the 3-hour movie.
Why is it so hard to find plus VOD, DVD streaming sales? Like, how much money do you think that movie has actually made Disney? $5 billion?
I would love to know.
10, 20?
Even Seinfeld. I want to know what their contracts were when they made deals with streaming services. I want to know. Because I don't think Apple and Amazon rentals count. Yeah. But same thing with rentals. And, we did Hocus Pocus last week because that was the year that we were in. They made a lot of money in rentals, but there's no money that we get.
I was actually trying to get a thing I saw when I was at the Disney parks a couple of weeks ago, or a month ago. And I went to the Disney store in New York because I forgot to go back and get it when I was down there, and they don't have it. But I walked in there, and the Marvel merch now is almost triple the size of the Star Wars merch. In the store.
I mean,
okay.
Of course, it's their franchise that's still making them a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Relatively speaking.
More than Star Wars right now.
Though, when that fucking, what were we just talking about? When Mando 4 comes out, and that little, what's that little bastard's name?
Grogu.
That little Yoda?
You just call him Baby Yoda.
Okay. He's about to be bouncing out of backpacks all over again. I feel like there's going to be another spree.
They might actually get their merch shit together this time because they fucked up when that first came out.
We talked about, but season 2, they had their shit together. Okay, and then they named him, and everybody was like, and eventually people came around. But okay, can you guys name another movie in the top 5 that came out this year? Any other movies?
Oh, for sure.
Go ahead.
Definitely, I'm going to guess Toy Story 4. Did that come out this year?
It wasn't Captain
That
Marvel.
was number 6 at the box office with $1.073 billion. That's right. It made $1 billion, but it was not in the top 5. Any other guesses? I'll give you
Far
one more
From
guess.
Home.
Okay, fine.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Far From Home is actually number 4 with $1.132 billion. So it came The Lion King. That is the animated remake, which I saw in theaters and I do not recommend seeing in theaters. It came in at number 2 with $1.647 billion worldwide. Was number 2.
Thank you for calling it animated remake and not live action, because
it's not live action. Fuck that shit. It's not live action.
And how about Rise of Skywalker?
Rise of Skywalker was number 7. It was number 7. I'm going to buzz you just because it's fun. But it was a pretty good guess, I guess, because it also made $1 billion worldwide. But I'm pretty sure Disney was expecting it to make $2 billion, but they did themselves dirty with their own franchise, and so they lost $1 billion by their terrible mistakes. So The Lion King was number 2.
2 things based off that. Like, I rewatched The Last Jedi on the plane. And it's growing.
And she's not a Palpatine. She's not a Palpatine. She's not a Palpatine.
It's really growing.
All of a sudden they said, hey, let's get everybody here. And all of a sudden these ships showed up, and you're like, who the fuck are these people? You've had 9 movies to tell me who these people are. Why are all these ships here? Where did they come from? All of a sudden they're like, it's like the Avengers. Avengers, assemble. Who the fuck is that superhero? Who are these people?
You talking about the Rebellion?
Yeah.
The fuck has it been there since episode 4?
No, they told us the Rebellion was like 45 people in one underground bunker. And then all of a sudden, 190 planets sent ships in the final battle against the Palpatine, a line that we thought was dead. Get the fuck out of here. It was a very exciting thing in the theater, but it makes no fucking sense.
I'm talking about
also, they killed
Jedi,
Chewbacca, and then they brought him back to life and said, oh, that was a different ship. This movie, guys. This fucking movie.
I gotta love how much it upsets you.
And Adam Driver wanted to be dead by this movie. He was not happy to be in a third movie. So I'm
Dave,
not
what are Jeff's top 3 movies that really get him riled up? Rise.
I saw this with my dad, and we enjoyed it in the theater, but
Toy
it makes
Story.
no sense.
Rise, Dark Knight Rises, and Toy Story. All of the Toy Story concept.
The premise makes no sense.
Like when I went down to Hollywood Studios in Florida, I first walked into Toy Story Land. There's a giant it's a giant Woody right there. But I immediately took a.
Don't you say there's a giant Woody right there?
And I immediately took a photo and said it. Look, it's a giant Chucky doll.
Yes.
Oh my God, dude.
They have wants and needs, except when a child comes into play. No, those motherfuckers would be all over that. It makes no sense.
Jeff, you think I'm right though? Or is it those three that really get you going? Rise is in the title of two that really seem to upset you. Dark Knight Rises and Rise of Skywalker.
Dark Knight Rises was tough. That was tough. Okay. Frozen
right,
2 is
tell me
number
about
3.
the
This is a
year, 'cause
previous episode. Previous episode, Frozen 2 made
It still holds the
$1.45
record.
billion.
Still holds the record for the most buzzes in a single show.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, thanks, Mark.
Not because of us.
Yeah, it was Mark.
So Frozen 2.
Can't control himself.
Number 3. Spider-Man Far From Home is number 4 with 1.13. Captain Marvel comes in at number 5 with 1.129.
Oh, it did make it. Good.
Yeah. Toy Story 4 is number 6. Rise of Skywalker is number 7. Joker, number 8. Joker becomes the first R-rated film in history to surpass $1 billion at $1.066 billion. And Aladdin, the Will Smith remake, which again, I highly recommend not watching, just crossed $1 billion. God, Robin Williams was so good. It's just, man.
I mean, you can't compare. I mean, granted, it does look like Will Smith just fucking phoned it in, but you can't compare him to Robin Williams ever.
Remember when he turned down Django Unchained and then immediately was like, I'll do Aladdin though. Okay, and then so that was 9 movies, and then I'm so sorry to say there was a huge drop off. John's laugh gets him a buzz there. And then number 10 at the box office is Jumanji: The Next Level, which makes $798 million. A couple other shout outs here. You have the Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw comes in at number 11 with 760. 2 Chinese movies in a row come in. We have Nejaji Mo Tong Jiangxi and Liu Lang Di Q come in both over $700 million worldwide, almost all of which was in China, surprising to nobody. Maleficent is in there. Another Wo Hi Wo Dezu Gyo comes in at number 16. And
What was
Chapter
that? Can you say that
2,
again?
Wo Hei Wo Dezu Gyo, that is 6 words, none of which are more than 3 letters, comes in at number 16. Chapter 2 comes in at number 17. So obviously you can tell that Chinese movies are doing really well, even though it's all domestic for them. It's all domestic. 9 films made $1 billion, which breaks the previous record of 5 movies which made $1 billion in 2015 and 2018. So we were going for the $1 billion movie until the pandemic hit, and then we went streaming. I'm going to skip the MCU accolades. You know about Endgame. We talked about it a little bit. I'll just say this. The UK's Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, compared himself to the Hulk in his efforts to steer the country out of the European Union.
Yeah. Brexit smash.
How fucking funny is that?
Yeah.
Boris Johnson, I'm going to skip it. I'll skip it later, but Theresa May had the very famously short stint this year where she was the prime minister, and then Boris Johnson, who was on trial this year for literally lying during the Brexit, the whole Brexit campaign. He was on trial for that, but then his party won Congress after Theresa May started, and he was the leader of the party, so he became the prime minister. In this year, compared himself to being the Hulk when they passed Brexit, even though he was on trial for lying about it. What a
well, the Hulk
fucking
couldn't do his
joke.
hair either, so.
But here's the irony. Here's the irony. We've now seen Boris Johnson so many days in our life. He did his hair. He did it every fucking day. That motherfucker. Walt Disney Studios becomes the first studio in history to surpass $10 billion worldwide in box office grosses in a single year. Can you imagine $10 billion in the same year? Motherfuckers.
Yeah,
Aladdin becomes
can.
the highest grossing release of all time in the Middle East. Had the year's biggest opening for a foreign film. Yada, yada, yada. The film surpasses Independence Day 1996, which was very high up in our summer box office face-off, to become the highest grossing Will Smith movie of his career. Of course, it's one of the highest grossing movies of all time. It shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Oh. Sorry,
Keep my film's name out your damn mouth.
I'm gonna wrap. We've already done this 3 times, so I'm gonna do it very quickly. I'll just say that Parasite, which is another previous episode of ours where Dave had not seen Parasite. That's a previous episode of ours. That brought Bong Joon-ho 4 awards: Best Picture, Director, Non-English Film, which is what it was called at the time, and Original Screenplay. That's right, it won Original Screenplay even though it wasn't in English. That's pretty fucking cool. And he has Mickey 17 coming out March 4th. I know that because I watched a lot of football. I watched a lot of football this week, and one of the games was literally sponsored by Mickey 17. So you can imagine He has a lot of money behind this movie this year. So let's go. And Robert Pattinson talks in a very high-pitched voice.
Well, they keep pushing it back, too. Like, just fucking release it.
March is a weird time for this. It's a little bit weird. I'm
still going to see it.
Yeah, me too. Okay. Ford vs. Ferrari came out this year. The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit won Best Original Screenplay, beating our friend, the original Little Women writer, adapter, director for the Oscar this year, because our first podcast was sort of anyway. Jojo Rabbit came out this year. Joker, Little Women, what did I say? Marriage Story came out this year. Shout out Adam Driver. 1917, also one of our first episodes.
Yes.
Go ahead. And then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Quentin Tarantino. One of you hasn't seen it. Dave, you haven't seen that?
Yeah, I should watch that one day.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood came out this year. Some of those either won or were nominated for a lot of Oscars. I don't feel like doing the Oscars this year, except Laura Dern won an Oscar. Shout out to her.
Laura Dern.
John, any other movies you want to shout out before I get into the world events?
Nah, I think if people remember this year pretty well. Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Oh,
yeah.
That was a previous episode of ours. That was fucking awesome.
That one fucking blew us away. This was, and I feel like this year like gave me like so much hope before the pandemic and everything.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, what a year of movies. Like, what a way to round out the decade. We're on the rise. And then boom.
Portrait of a Lady on Fire was when you guys thought I went insane because I suggested a foreign film.
Was that the first time? Yeah.
Was it you?
Took a chance.
It was you? Dave, it was you that suggested it?
Yeah.
I had to go all the way to Hell's Kitchen. I had to go all the way to Murray Hill to watch that movie, and it was fucking awesome. It was so good. What a suggestion!
Well, I said it was a foreign film. What do you think? You see it on the same block?
No, Murray Hill's usually for frat bros. That's where I had to go to see that.
Really, really special. Our Ad Astra episode, I think, is a really good episode. If anybody wants to listen to that,
Ad Astra is good, yeah. And I also really liked The Lighthouse, which is another an Eggers film for our Nosferatu fans out there.
Mm-hmm.
And Bombshell also came out this year, which is cool.
Get used to him. He's doing the Labyrinth sequel now.
Hey.
Which I'm 100%
Dave and I
against.
mentioned a few months ago. Dave mentioned, and then I watched it, and I mentioned it again in the following episode. The director's cut of Dr. Sleep is really good, and they should have just released the director's cut. It's better than the theatrical cut. So anyone wants to take a chance on that shit, go there.
Not the first time we've said that. Okay, you ready for some world events to give you the context? So Midsommar, we're talking about a cult. I mean, they admit it's a Swedish cult in an area of the world where there's basically no nightfall. Are you ready to talk about some world events?
Yes.
So speaking of Sweden, I'm so sorry to say, Greta Thunberg was Time's Person of the Year. I'm not sorry to say that she's the Time Person of the Year, but make that terrible connection between her and the rest of the world. Greta Thunberg was the Time Person of the Year, and her and Trump had some really fun back and forth between the two of them. So there you go. We've done a lot of these. The quick ones are the Hong Kong protests happened this year. More than 100,000 people attended a vigil in Hong Kong to commemorate the Tiananmen Square massacre. I'm so sorry to say the Chinese government was not thrilled about that. So it sparked a whole lot of Hong Kong protests in 2019, if you remember them. The college auditions scandal happened this year, where very famous parents got their kids into college with donations and other scandals, such whatever. It doesn't matter. You can look it up if you don't know what we're talking about. The college audition scandal happened this year. It's a very interesting story if you don't know it.
I definitely did not go to the school that was centered at right in the middle of that story.
The public school that this kid would have easily gotten into if their parents didn't decide to put themselves in prison for. Only one of the parents, apparently.
It's not public.
That's for me.
UCLA is public.
I love when schools like the University of Southern California and New York University, the states are like, nope.
How do you call it public if you need like $80,000 to go there?
Sounds expensive. Okay, here we go.
America.
The Notre Dame Cathedral caught on fire this year. Mostly the roof, and then the spire collapsed. But guess what? It reopened this year, so everything's great. The World Economic Forum announced that there will be more plastic than fish in our oceans by as early as 2050.
Whoops.
More plastic than fish in the oceans.
Did you see that?
There's more ocean than land. And we're going to have more plastic than fish?
See the clip this week at Davos where that historian got up? And
that was not this week, Dave. That was years ago. I'd seen that clip before, but that was not this week.
That wasn't this week?
What are you talking about?
No, where the person stood up at Davos and said 150 jets just showed up here, or 1,500 jets just showed up here, and they talked about how to...
That's my problem with the fucking internet. Like, okay, if you're going to bring TikTok back, put fucking dates when stuff is published on it.
That was a couple years ago, and that guy was not. That was like 2022 at the.
He's probably dead now.
Yeah. Anyway,
you can see everyone like making room for him on the stage, like just in case there was a sniper.
The billionaires are really fun. They don't kill you, Dave, anymore. You know what they do? They forget about you. They make the world forget about you. So anyway, I want to give you some fun news. All right, I'm going to go fun news. You ready? The Amazon burned 80,000 fires, the most in a decade, burned in an area the size of New Jersey. So the rainforest is burning. Okay, sorry. No, that's not. That's sorry. Not,
wow.
That's not. I swear, I was like, I don't want to do the world events anymore. We've already done this. It's like, the House impeached Donald Trump for the first time. Oh, that's not a funny one either. Where's it? Oh, here we go. A kangaroo fossil. Some research showed that they may have learned to hop 20 million years ago. That's right, Dave. Your motherfucking kangaroos learned how to hop 20 million years ago.
What did they do before?
Slide along like snakes? Like,
don't you? Yeah, maybe 20 million years. I don't know what they did. Think about this. What did they do between 21 and 20 million years ago? That's a million years.
Across the desert.
20 million years. What are we going to be like 20 million? People are going to be like, well, what did humans do 20 million years ago? I don't know.
Imagine penguins with the ability to hop like a kangaroo. I feel like that's at one point.
Yeah,
that's in my mind. All right,
like, we know how to survive the cold. We just don't have to hop. We'll just stand here and swim sometimes.
I'm desperate to know what they looked like before they learned how to hop.
This is fucked up. Are you ready? A picture of an egg was the most liked photograph on Instagram. And I looked it up, and it looks pretty fucking stupid. It's an egg. It's a brown egg. And the caption is, Kylie Jenner has 18 million likes. Let's break her record by liking this stupid fucking brown egg. And when I checked, it was basically 30 million likes. It almost doubled this. So it's a fucking brown
I'd be liking
egg,
that,
and everybody liked it.
Yeah.
They love Palestine, by the way. They really wanted to free Palestine. Okay, so keep moving. So that's the egg. Where am I? Baby Yoda appeared in The Mandalorian. I believe that has already come up in this podcast here.
Yeah.
Baby Yoda.
Really in the zeitgeist.
No, his name is not called Grogu, but The Mandalorian premiered here in 2019, and Baby Yoda was its main event. The world's smallest baby was finally released from the hospital months after being born at 24 weeks and weighed 9.45 ounces.
Holy shit.
A baby didn't even weigh a pound and lived in 2019. Science was great. It's really cool when we cared about science. We don't anymore, but it was really cool for a while. Disney purchased 21st Century Fox for $71 billion. Pretty relevant.
Yeah.
Wow.
A woman in Bangladesh gave birth to twins 1 month after giving birth previously. It turns out she had 2 uteruses.
It's like, when you feel like you're done having a dump and you just get up, you go, nope, I'm not done.
It's the theme of the episode.
That is the theme of the episode.
I'm just matching the tone you set.
HBO's Game of Thrones aired the longest battle ever to be shown on screen. The episode was called The Long Night. And
longest and darkest.
The battle lasted 80 minutes. The Long Night.
So good.
Babe Ruth's. Good. I agree. Get a good TV and it's going to look great. Babe
Turn
Ruth's
your lights off. You don't even have to have a great TV. Just turn your lights off.
I have a skylight in my house.
It was very exciting that Arya killed the Night King. That was really exciting, except it was terrible for the show. That was a fucking stupid. They should never have fucking done that. It was stupid, but it was really fun.
Jeff also gets very upset talking about Game of Thrones. That is another one to get you riled up with. Where did they go wrong,
Boba
Jeff?
Fett.
Where did they go wrong? Oh yeah, Boba Fett.
Babe Ruth's baseball jersey became the most expensive sports memorabilia when it sold for $5.6 million. Lil Nas X's Old Town Road single reached a new record for the longest all-time Billboard charts for single #1 after spending 17 weeks at #1. The only problem is, what the fuck does that even mean anymore? What is #1? What does that even mean anymore? Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas for You also reached #1 for the first time 25 years after its release.
And 23.
So what does this even mean? What was it up against? Who even cares about this? What do these fucking
around
numbers
Christmas?
mean?
Nothing. It's up against nothing. It's
the
throw it out,
pharmaceutical
not for
company Johnson & Johnson was told to pay Oklahoma $572 million in damages for adding to an opioid crisis in the state. The trial was the first successful one of its kind. It was meant to set a precedent until Trump was elected president. YouTube was fined $170 million for collecting data on child users. I'm sure it stopped collecting data on child users in 2019.
Okay.
I'm sure.
We'll collect data of everyone. That way,
Yeah, Google after 2019 was like, we will collect no more data off of child users, we promise. And I believe them, for sure.
Check your user agreements.
No, don't check fuck everybody. Don't check those user agreements. I have two more. Elon Musk revealed Tesla's first electric Cybertruck with shatterproof windows. A little problem, though. At the grand reveal in 2019. Yeah, that salute is very... Sorry, Dave. I didn't mean to gush you. No gush, Dave. I'm sorry. I love that his awkward gesture is literally illegal in a lot of countries, but it's not a Nazi salute.
I love
Elon Musk revealed...
The test for it was to upload it to TikTok, and it was immediately banned.
Immediately, yeah. They don't want to fuck with... They know their censors.
You know how hard it is to get banned on TikTok? We tried.
That's funny.
Elon Musk revealed Tesla's first electric Cybertruck with shatterproof windows. Problem, this is so funny, when the shatterproof windows were tested by being repeatedly hit by design chief Franz von Holzhauer, the window shattered.
Because he is Hans, and he is Franz.
And here's a picture, and he's built like fucking Schwarzenegger.
Get out of the way. Let me test this window.
It literally says shatterproof windows, and he's the design chief, and he shattered the windows. After a reassuring speech,
he's the design chief who never skips arm day.
After a reassuring speech by Musk, the Cybertruck did not live up to expectations, so Tesla's share price plummeted by 6%. And I'm pretty sure the share has been going down ever since. Oh, wait. He gave a lot of money to a certain candidate who got a lot of government contracts despite saying that he was going to help infrastructure for middle-class jobs. And now I believe his shares have doubled since then. But anyway, last but not least, Dave, are you ready? Australia recorded its hottest day ever. It's really good for a country with no ozone layer to record its hottest day ever, with an average temperature across the entire country of 105 degrees. So there you go. 2019 in review.
Wow.
Yeah, we've since topped that, I'm sure.
You forgot one tiny little detail that happened at the tail end of that year.
What?
A little known virus.
No,
crawled across planet Earth.
Okay, well, we didn't know about it then. Also, the lab leak theory, the only place in the world where coronavirus was being studied in a lab happened right next to the supposed market where this whole thing took place, but it's definitely not where it started. How fucking funny is that? I can't believe that in hindsight. I'm a pretty liberal person, but the lab leak theory, can you imagine that we just were like, oh, it wasn't that. And it's like, it's the only lab in the whole world that does coronavirus. Bat soup. Okay. Oh, wait, it only transmits in the air. Oh, okay. But bat soup? Oh, yeah, that too. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Makes no fucking sense.
Bat soup
literally
is
makes
very
no sense.
airy because of the wings.
Yeah, the wings just flap that fucking virus right into your nose.
Bat soup.
Bat soup. Fuck everybody. Okay.
That's so funny.
Dave, ad break.
All
right, are you ready? No, they're not going to do it. They're going to be like, fuck you guys. You know we're ads. Are you guys ready to talk about Midsommar?
Oh, yeah.
Did you all watch this on Hulu?
Watched it on Max.
I watched it on Max, which it's getting taken off Max at the end of this week. So if you're going to watch it, hurry.
Wait, hold on. Okay, you're right. Sorry. A Real Pain was on Max. This is on... What did you just say?
Opposite.
A Real Pain is on Hulu. This is on Max. This is on Max. When it came out, it was definitely on Prime. So this is done by the end of the week.
Yeah, well, it goes off Max. They're probably putting it somewhere else.
It'll go on somewhere else. Okay. I saw this in 2019. Dave, you saw this in 2019, or did you just see this at some point?
No, I saw this way after.
Okay, cool. It's kind of like a Ex Machina for me, where all of a sudden everybody's like, this movie that everybody's talking about is streaming now. And I was like, what? Like, I never even heard of this movie. And they're like, you got to watch it right now. And I was like, okay, cool. So I was single and alone. So I smoked some weed and watched this movie, which I do not recommend. Mom and Dad, don't listen. Mom and Dad, stop listening. No listening. Dad, stop. Keep mowing the grass. I do not recommend that. It's now on Max. It's going to go somewhere else. It'll be on another streaming service. 2019. Slow burn. Hereditary was fucking wild, and then a year later, this director, all of a sudden, it's just right there for you to watch on Prime.
This had a very short production period too, so yeah,
and it became a pretty big hit. I would love to know the casting call for the sequence I referenced at the beginning with the making love scene. I don't know what the casting call was like. Must be comfortable with blank. I don't know what the casting call was for all this shit, but what was it? I don't know. They definitely cast some authentic Swedish, etc. But
oh man,
we're going to talk about Midsommar, people. I also kind of forgot about the beginning of this movie because the things that you remember from this movie, John, are mostly the things that happen after they get to Sweden. And I know that there's some trauma and stuff at the beginning, but I kind of forgot he did his best to do his horror thing where he really established the stakes at the beginning.
He really established the group dynamic too really well.
All right. Midsommar, I'm going to read the IMDb description. John's never seen it before. Dave and I have each once.
John's got a lot of mosquitoes in his house.
Again, go on YouTube and watch this fucking image that looks behind. It's amazing behind John. All right. IMDb description, Midsommar. Here we go. A couple travels to Northern Europe to visit Sweden. I don't know why they say Northern Europe. To visit a rural hometown's fabled Swedish. I fucking hate this IMDb description already, guys. They traveled to Northern Europe to visit a Swedish midsummer festival. Who says that?
Someone who knows they're lying. It's just like...
A couple travels to Sweden to visit a rural hometown's fable midsummer festival. There you go. Edit done. What begins as an idyllic retreat quickly devolves into an increasingly violent and bizarre competition at the hands of a pagan cult. Midsommar, streaming for the next week on Max. We'll see where it goes from there.
And that's not even a spoiler, because if you don't know it's a cult, you will within 5 fucking seconds.
Let's go. Yeah. Why don't I make a big decision? Why don't I have Dave? I would love if you don't mind going first, so you can just kind of go through your thing, and then John, who's never seen the movie, you can go second. Does that sound okay?
Yeah,
sure.
John's scratching his ear like he's a fucking rabbit. I cannot wait. All right, Dave, what do you think?
This is one of the toughest rewatches I think I've ever done. I had to stop it twice just to prepare myself for what I knew I was about to go through. Sure. It's like Florence Pugh in this is phenomenal. She just absolutely destroys herself mentally on film.
Yes.
She's quoted as saying, I think that she feels this is the one character she didn't like leaving behind because she felt like it was the saddest character she'd ever created.
That she did like leaving behind?
She didn't like leaving her. No, she felt bad leaving her behind because, everyone else can fend for themselves. This one can't. So yeah, it was like, and he's not kidding. It's about a slow burn. Like it does move very slowly, but that's deliberate. I think to
much more slow burny than Hereditary.
Yeah, because it's like it kind of plays on is what I think going on, or is this just an innocent misunderstanding? Is everyone high? Like what's happening? And it just keeps going until it's too late. And I don't normally like the slow burns, but this one just works for me. And it did fuck me up as usual. This guy really knows how to just stick the knife right in your brain and twist it.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So would you say you enjoyed the rewatch?
I did. I really did. Yeah. Because I knew what was going on, I wasn't shocked by what was happening as much. So I was able to focus on the cinematography, and there are some fantastic things they do with the camera in this. Which I'll talk about in a minute.
John, you ready to go?
Yeah, I'm just writing down these 3 ideas because I just didn't want to forget. So, first of all, I needed that shot at the beginning of this episode because I finished this 30 minutes. I have been spending the whole week mentally preparing for this movie. Oh. I kept every night. I was like, "Is tonight the night?" And I was like, No, I don't. I'm just not ready to watch it yet. I'm just not ready to watch it. Because I think I really enjoyed it.
That's what it does. Yeah.
And I think it's like, I'm excited to. Sure. The gush from just that.
Wow.
I need this conversation though. Like I walked out and Elizabeth was like, "What'd you think?" I went in the room by myself, turned all the lights off, headphones on. I went all the way in. You know, I dove in. I went all the way.
Did you have some tea? Did you have some of that special tea that they have out there? Yeah.
Man, I'm glad I didn't before watching this. First of all, who hurt you, Ari? Who hurt you? You know what I mean? Like this fucking guy, a wailing of pain makes its way into every movie he's made. Like this guy is not scared of death.
The casting announcement
but there
for
are
that
three.
Must be comfortable with completely fucking yourself up on camera.
Honestly, dude.
Yeah.
Wow, I can't. I mean, just something I forget. This is a little bit of a tangent. I swear I'll come back. Something I think about all the time as a director and a writer that I never, ever, ever thought about as an actor. And I try to remind myself of that. Like, this never even entered my brain when I was acting. I'm writing characters sometimes, I'm directing, and I feel guilty for putting actors through emotional situations, like really intense emotional scenarios. I feel bad asking them to do it. I've put Jeff in that spot a couple times.
Yeah.
But as an actor, I used to love that shit. like I was like, oh, you know, I really wanted to let me go there. But like sometimes I was thinking about I don't even know if I would want to put actors through this scenario. But of course, I'm glad he did. I'm glad to hear Florence Pugh in a way said that. I've heard her talk about how it really did. Like she realized she was depressed after the fact, after working on this movie, and then being like, oh, it's because of course I'm depressed. I just fucking put myself through that shit.
I need to rebalance.
He asks a lot of everyone involved in the movie. He asks a lot of himself, and he asks a lot of the audience.
Yeah.
So here's the three things I'm hoping we can discuss today, because I think I need this conversation. I need to hear what you guys talk about. I might need to talk some things out myself. The three things that I really took away from it are that, to pull a line from Tolkien, the tale was in the telling for me. On paper, the story sounds kind of boring. A cult story about this person going and kind of getting wrapped up in it. Like, how many times have we seen that or heard that? It's so popular. It's so overdone. So the filmmaking was brilliant, as he is always brilliant. I never said Beau was Afraid wasn't brilliant. I just said I had my issues with it were in a lack of catharsis and transcendence by the end of it. So that's one thing I want to talk about. The tale and the telling. The filmmaking did so much heavy lifting for me in this movie. And I can't stop. I've been thinking about it a lot recently with all the films this year. So I'm excited to talk about that. I'm excited to talk about, and I'm not the first one to say this. Obviously, it's all this picture behind me. There's this dichotomy, this wonderful thing he does thematically with how everything is out in the open. It's bright, it's sunny, and it's kind of like there's nowhere to hide. And whatever starts to happen that's really unsettling and unnerving is just right there for everyone to see. And you start to think wait a second, they all know that. They're all on board with this. I'm the one in the dark. And then he subverts it, and you realize there are some hideaways and some dark rooms where bad things happen as well. So I want to talk about that. I thought that was really beautiful. And then the ultimate theme, which when this movie was over, I was I kind of sat there in the dark for a little bit, how do I feel? What the fuck was that?
And
that
this was today? This is right before this?
Yeah, it was 30 minutes before we started.
He was crying when I dialed into the Zoom.
Good thing I was late, John, huh?
This smile she has at the end.
The smile's the best part of the fucking movie. That smile at the end.
Which is what, and I want to come back to that because I agree with. There is something about the ending here that is why I think this movie works for me so well. So that it's not just the pain and the agony of the suspense and the anxiety and the bad tripping and the destruction. But I've read, I looked up a few things that were just kind of discussing the themes of the movie, and one that I think is a very literal interpretation of the ending is he foreshadows when Pele is talking to her when they're first there, and he says, I know what you're going through. My family burned alive in a fire, and this family took me in. And that, so there is a way to literally look at that, she realizes that by the end of this, that she has a new family, and she kind of let go of the things, her fucking boyfriend, that was making her feel bad about herself.
Yeah, I wonder where his family burnt in the fire.
Yeah, sure. Of course. Now we know.
Yeah.
The bigger theme for me that I really am carrying away, and maybe I'll change my mind tomorrow, is I thought Ari Aster used this as a vehicle to display the potential destruction of grief. That grief can
The
lead
destruction
to
of grief.
that grief can lead to people making very destructive choices in their life. It can destroy you. It can destroy everyone around you. It can create an entire society that overcompensates with the way they deal with it, where death is something that is transactional. Like so that's the bigger theme that I walked away with. When she smiles at the end of that, there was a part of me that was like, I don't know if she's home. I feel like I feel like something else was happening there. Something bigger was happening there for me as an audience member than just simply believing, oh, she supplemented her grief, the way she was struggling with her grief for this boyfriend, with killing him and finding a new family. Like, I feel like that's a literal way of looking at it. I think there's a bigger topic of watching this young person struggle to grieve after this terrible thing that happened to them. And in the midst of this fucking culty society, you got to see what is actually the pain and anger, and how far people are willing to go to try to bury that grief, to try to deal with that grief and transcend that grief.
Your interpretation involves burying grief.
The big question
and not
had
confronting
of that was, do you think she snapped? Or was she truly happy, finally?
Which is the real question that I think you're going to ask all these fuckers around me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, did you actually find, is there something in this communal society, this cult, that actually gives you a form of happiness? Generally speaking, when we talk about cults, we say that the answer is usually no. It's usually a false promise of reality, right?
Yeah.
And
they,
who knows? Anyway.
They have something she did, like the American group doesn't as well, which is communication, open communication.
True.
Because none of those guys communicate with it. Like, that couple should never have been together at that point. And I'll let Jeff go in a second.
Maybe,
but to bring it back to like the first scene after she gets the phone call and he goes over to comfort her, just after he's talking about how he should have broken up with her. Then they get the tragic phone call. He goes over to comfort her, and there's that shot where she's laying in his lap, just breaking.
Oh, yeah.
And he's looking, and the look on his face is like it alternates between, if I'd broken up with her, I wouldn't have had to deal with this, and then he hates himself for thinking that. And they communicate that without saying a word. I don't know whether I just put words in his mouth, but that's what I got from it.
Yeah, I think both of those things are true, and it didn't feel one-sided, which is why I think it's a very mature film. There was a part of me that felt bad for him too, of course. By the end of this, like,
I didn't feel so bad. He was all the guys were not nice.
I know, dude, but like, I don't know if anyone deserves to be burned alive. Like, is that what you're saying? You know what I mean? Like, he was mean to her and didn't treat her well and didn't break up with her when her family died, and so he deserves to get burned alive. Like, I was very aware when she smiled at the end that I was like, whoa. Like, she also, by embracing what normal societies would call murder as a way to overcome like what she was dealing with, to free herself from this thing that wasn't allowing her to grieve. I mean, it's all there. Is I guess what I'm saying. He does such a good job, I think, directing, the film, that by the end of it, there is a catharsis and there is a transcendence. Unlike for me, I felt like Beau is Afraid did not have that. But it
really tried to, though. It really tried to sell you on catharsis, for sure.
Beau is Afraid?
Let's divert quickly to what Jeff thought.
Anyway. Yeah. I'm sorry. I could keep going.
No. Okay. I'm fascinated by this. Good. You're in a row. I'm good. No, I usually but I talk for a long time, so I'm happy to hear what you're saying. I appreciate it. Well, I'm actually not going to say that much because, I'll say is this. Maybe this will resonate with people that have seen this movie that are coming back to this. So now I have two images of sorts. I have the first idea, which is like I saw this movie once, and I had certain images, which you could also probably say are certain scenes that stayed with me for the past 5.5, 6 years. So since 2019, the bear image, the image of the guy stuffed in the bear where he can't move or speak.
Yeah.
Her as the May Queen at the end.
I saw a guy in a bear suit on the N train one night after Pride.
I was gonna make a bear joke for you, Dave. Dave, you want to hear my bear joke?
Yeah.
If Jack Ranor was Dave, it would be not the first time Dave was stuffed inside a bear.
Jesus Christ.
What?
We can do better. We can do better. I'm buzzing you.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck. Anyway, that's it. What the fuck? Shut up. That stayed with me. I think the thing that stayed with me the most out of this movie, though, is what you're talking about, the slow burn idea.
Mm.
When the older couple falls off, when they jump. This is. I'm sorry, this is a little spoilery, but whatever. It's
I mean, yeah, it's old, and anyone who was going to watch it has probably gone away to watch it by now.
Right,
So we're going to ruin this.
It's that first moment when the older couple jumps off the ledge, and then the people screaming. I actually kind of forgot that it was the other couple that was screaming. I just thought it was their couple. You know, I kind of forgot that it was. He was the lead, literally the lead in Gran Torino, and he was a small role in this movie. And then his girlfriend in the movie, the two of them screaming, but like the old couple just jumping to their death. That has stayed with me for 5.5 years for sure. Like just the image of the two people, the weird sounds that they make, the language driven communication, the way that everybody is just silent watching them and watching their lead. That 5.5 years of me, like I remember that very vividly.
Also,
the whole sequence.
What a shot too, because that's done in a wide, and they go from them moving and walking to the full drop and impact, and you don't see that often.
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
I mean, really remarkable what happens to this. I guess it's special effects. I guess it wasn't dummies. You know, when her head like rips off when she hits the rock, and you know, you see the face flap. Like maybe that was a dummy, but like that stuff was painfully realistic and very, very controlled and simply shot.
Yeah.
Very exposed. Again, just very exposed. Like you're just there in a bright sunny day watching that happen.
So that, I mean, obviously like the dance sequence at the end and a lot of the mushroom trips and stuff. But I remember these things very vividly. The things I didn't remember, the whole opening sequence before they even go to Sweden. I kind of forgot all of it, to be honest with you. And I kind of forgot some of the details from when they were in their like barracks, when they were in their bedroom. A lot of those conversations that happened in the movie that sort of were like glue to pull like the most extreme events of this movie, and also like the humanity of like that's also their escape place, so it's where they could kind of decompress. So rewatching it this time, what I'll say is knowing that those extremes were coming, they weren't as extreme as possible, and I totally validate. You know, this doesn't have the highest rating if you were to like just go in critics ratings and stuff. Some critics even say it's a little silly, which I think is a little far-fetched, but I get what they mean. You know, like there are certain things that maybe you could overthink and be unrealistic. Like
apparently when they showed it in Sweden, they thought it was a black comedy and laughed at it.
Yeah, I mean, I can totally get that. I can see that, but at the same time, it's grounded enough that it's going to stay with you. And I do appreciate the slow burn, and I feel like they really earned it all. So I feel like it was a pretty solid film. And I think that the filmmaking was done well. And even if it's just something as simple as like the mushroom trips, tripping out the land, where it becomes really wavy and shaky, which doesn't necessarily seem too complicated.
Oh, it's not just
or
the
far-fetched.
land. There's like so much subtle shit built into a shot when they're under
But
the
when you're
influence.
watching it, when you just submit yourself to watching it, it's, you know, and yeah, maybe in Sweden, like the tropes of like what they're saying and stuff, maybe that kind of stuff didn't land, but there's no darkness. And also the mushroom trips and the weird pedals where the guy has to have sex with the girl in the place. And yeah, that all seems ridiculous. It is kind of ridiculous, but yeah, John, you're right. The smile is the most important part because the image on the poster is her crying in the May Queen garb, but actually she's trying to overcome the grief of her family, which is what they lay out in the beginning. And then at the very end of the movie, she smiles. And they even say the whole thing is to repent for our sins, to ask for forgiveness, to move forward. That is the point of the cult. The point of the cult seems on board with what she should want in real life. And I feel like just that little smile at the end, it's like, I don't know if she's happy that her boyfriend's dead, but I feel like there's something in there. I just feel like there's something there.
But can you imagine though?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I want to see the over/under of people that start this movie and get to like the first half hour and go, "Fuck that," and turn it off.
Oh my God, when they all
Stick
suck
with it.
in the carbon dioxide from the car, I mean, get the fuck out of here. I was like, holy shit, I kind of forgot about that, to be honest with you. But the image of that was,
I mean,
oh my
I
God.
can't remember other films. Is the off-camera scream becoming his trademark?
I mean, after Hereditary, he's like, I needed this in every movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the
like
one
when
in
he answers the phone and she's calling
yeah.
and she's just screaming.
Yeah, the one in
where the
Hereditary
boy's
is the
eyes
reason
are
I
wide
won't
open.
watch Hereditary anymore.
What's his name? One of the wolves. Is it Nat Wolf? His eyes are wide open, and then he can hear Toni Collette answer the phone, and she's just screaming because she realizes her daughter's head has been chopped off from the fucking drive home. Yeah, that.
Yeah, we had that in here too, for sure. I mean, again, the wailing, like the cinema. I could see Criterion doing some Ari Astor retrospective in the future, and they'll call it the cinema of wailing. Like he just hits sadness and grief and death like dead on. I want to go back to the tale is in the telling kind of idea, because if you were to be as reductive as possible, and obviously I said I liked it, so I'm not saying this in a negative way, but if we were to look at this as not the IMDb blurb, what this movie actually is, it's a horror movie about a cult eating people the outsiders.
They make a nice Waco joke in there
the people
too.
From the outsider.
There's a good Waco joke.
It's funny you should say that, because there are several times during this movie where you're like, okay, they're eating that person in a minute. They don't actually eat anyone.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't even hide them. The fucking the fucking foot is buried in the soil.
You don't know what the fuck were those. What were those centerpieces in that last meal after she went? They were always moving, and she was tripping, and they never really showed you what it was.
Yeah.
And then you go into that
face,
and you see that his lungs are outside of his, and it looked like the lungs. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be literal.
That's an ancient way of killing people. You flay the skin off and hang them by it, and then pull their lungs out through the hole.
That's great.
The lungs shouldn't be able to move like that, by the way.
Dave knows, and that's freaky. My point is, though, that this might be the difference, between what Ari Astor does and what I think all great ominous cinema does versus maybe what we'll call just lowercase h horror film. That this idea of outsiders going to a cult and then one by one they're kind of killed off. It's pretty simple. There is a significance, I think, and there's the waters feel deeper because of the way he tells the story.
Yeah.
There's something that is inherently that slow burn, we keep using that term, because you do that, you linger so patiently with your lead characters, mostly the leads, the other ones maybe not so much, but the 2 or 3 people who you're kind of following around the most. You take so much time experiencing this wide open exposed scenario with them that I think you're asked to think deeper about what's happening to them, so that it's not just like a slasher. It's not just like, I think you saw. I think you saw the people jumping off the cliff like a mile out. Like you kind of knew, like, oh shit,
there's whole scenes that happen in like an extreme wide.
As soon as they walked up to the front, yeah.
Like entire scenes play out in extreme wide, and I really dig that
sequence.
But this is what. All right, so let's look at that moment. That might be a perfect example of what I'm talking about. In a horror film, when something bad happens, that's when you're kind of supposed to be in your head and you're like, there's an absurdity here that I can kind of laugh at and have a lot of fun with the thrills, because of course, logically, they should get out of the house. Something terrible happened. They should leave. Right. In that moment, he had established, and the way the filmmaking was continuing to go, there was so much emotion attached to her own experience that was grounded in those sequences of panic attacks, that you were allowed to not just be logical about why are they staying. There was something more that was happening to each of them at that point. So you were freed of logic. And I think by that point, I think he knew, like, if I get you past that first part, if you're still on board with this, you're going to continue asking yourself, you're going to continue asking yourself the same questions that they are asking themselves, which start to change as the movie goes on. Each of them starts wanting something more from their experience there. And that's why that's why it transcends horror, why he always is able to kind of pull that off. It starts to become psychological and dramatic. Yeah. And there's something about that recipe. When you do that with really, really, really sincere, significant, intentional, slow filmmaking, I think if you pull it off, you end up having something that feels much more ominous and dramatic than horrific. The feeling I had at the end of that movie was not scary, it was disturbing. And I think that's always his bullseye.
You know, one thing that contributes to that is how he uses the camera. Because you know, like the camera alternates between watcher and like witness. As such, it's like watcher and window. At some point, he's showing you something. The camera's showing you something, but at other points, it puts you in a position like when everyone sits, the camera drops. You're now the watcher. You're not looking through a window. You're literally a member of this like congregation. But I got the feeling every time we were in like watcher mode, there was someone holding my face and making me watch. And it's just that little aggressive, like, you will watch this. Like, you will witness this, or look through this window and watch this. But when it got when it got really like the camera was a part of the group, someone was holding my face, making me watch.
Well, it's almost like that. All right, that feeling very specifically you're talking about. Let's use that word, the watcher. When the cinematography made you feel that feeling, those were the points in the movie where I was aware, like, in that exposed society where you know all of these motherfuckers know what's going on, and I can't just turn and run away from them. There's nowhere to go. I have to kind of watch. I have to kind of figure out the game and see if I can win, if I can make it out of this, because there's nowhere for me to run. And that feeling was really terrifying. And I think that might be the reason why some people have trouble watching these kinds of movies. And I've told y'all before, I'll just say it out loud for listeners who have listened before. Like, I wasn't looking forward to watching this because I don't like cinema of anxiety. And I think, generally speaking, Ari Astor likes to play with that feeling. And it's not a feeling I enjoy. I just don't think it's very interesting, anxiety. It doesn't go anywhere. It just it compounds on itself, but it doesn't always transcend if you only play with that one emotion. This movie, I think, unlike Beau is Afraid, because there is like the structure of a ceremony that builds to something that is inherently transcendent. I have taken place in like a Burning Man. Like, have you guys ever done that where you like write something down or bring something that like represents trauma and you put that fucker in there and you light it on fire and everybody dances and
it's very cathartic once, but that's about it.
Sure. On purpose? Or
well, one on purpose, one not. But the one on purpose was in a panic and it was there specifically for it. I didn't commit a crime.
I think this was a pretty special achievement.
Hey.
I think.
You think? I'll
Jeff, what was it like rewatching it though?
Sure. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I was ready for it to be all these things you're saying where it's terrifying and horrifying and because I knew a lot of them, I was ready for it to embrace on silliness, knowing it was still going to terrify me. So I was worried about, what I was not worried about was the beginning. I was the family where she's sending her sister the message and you see the emails that are like, Mom and Dad are coming with me. And you're like, what are you talking about? And then just the tubes going into the house. That was like, that was my like horror of this movie. But that was really scary. And then also the jump cuts into those bruised up faces of the old people when they came down, like that kind of stuff. But the old people jumping wasn't as terrifying as I thought it would be, even with the fucking weird ass broken legs of that guy that decided to land on his feet as opposed to
I kind of laughed at the sound effect of that moment. It was
he didn't think that one through.
I also thought that the guy with the hammer was a little bit more gracious and killed him quicker, but he like waited. And then the lady was like, it's okay. I was like, get over, the guy's suffering. Go fucking kill him. And then he was like, I'm going to go over there with the holy hammer. And I was like, go fucking kill him. Go quickly. It was weird. And then, the other couple and the stuff. And I actually really love the line, like, I guess I'll see you later, guys. I need to, what did he say? She's going to show me. When like the one hot girl was, and I think the thing that caught me this time, on the rewatch, was just how unified the whole cult was. But I think the thing with the cult, which I understand why the Swedish community might have laughed at it, but forget about the Swedishness of it. It was very Swedish. It was very Swedish. Like if you even said like this was a Danish cult, I'd be like, what? Like it was so distinctly Swedish for whatever reason. I don't even know what that means. I did have a Swedish exchange student. I know people speak Swedish, but there was something about the rewatch where they were all so on the same page that was curious to me. And again, it borders on silliness. And I think the exemplary moment of that is when Jack Ranor, the lead of this, who was in Transformers and he was in Sing Street, and he's apparently a very famous actor, even though I see his face and I'm like, really, this guy? I'm just surprised. Florence Pugh, no doubt. You see this movie and you're like, no doubt. She was cast in Little Women. Of course she was. Lady Macbeth. Yes. Like, no doubt. They all knew. They were all telling the same lies. But it's weird how on the same page they all were.
Are you talking about the cult?
How the cults, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
about
okay.
how they were all lying to the point where, first of all, the sex thing, you've been approved, and he never said he would. And it's like, is he going to be able to perform?
I get those credit card offers all the time, though.
So is he gonna like? What if she doesn't win? You know, what if she doesn't win the May Queen? Is she just gonna go and they're gonna go do that ceremony anyway, and then they're gonna. Because when you get the flowers, the little girl put the flowers out so that Jack Ranor knows where to walk to find this girl, and then everybody's already naked. It borders on silly. It borders on silly. But rather than focus on like what if she didn't win? Like this whole scenario is a little ridiculous. I think the thing that caught me is that
I think the girl who was holding her hand was making sure she was going to win.
It made it seem like that way and that they would bump into each other. But I mean, but even though the pictures would last forever, and I guess the most important thing was that they would have the baby be made here on the summer solstice. Like, I guess you're right, Dave. But actually, to that point, Dave, to jump off from that, long story short, they all are on the same page because they all want something so true and so pure. And even though I'm saying, like, you watch this and you're like, do these living people really need to die? Like, why do those two guys volunteer themselves to do this? And if they did, I would want the magic powder that made Jack Ranor not feel anything, but also the way that the rest of the cults feels power, feels the ache, the way that they all respond whenever somebody they're like, they all do that. That also stayed with me. But there's something about everybody, the whole community unifying and wanting something so deep. Like, that's what really gets me.
Also,
so maybe
they've been doing this for a long time. They've got a designated inbred person writing their Bible.
I'm still a little confused about that this happens once every 90 years. That thing still kind of confuses me. Oh, this happens once every 90 years. Like, wait, I thought you did this every year.
I was just about to ask you that, because by the end of when she has to choose who dies for the final 2 people to join the 9 ultimate sacrifices, there was a part of me that thought that was the point of this whole thing. That's why they acted the way they acted. They had an agenda. Pele and Ingmar were supposed to bring outsiders. Like, that's how it worked. How happy
were you that he was named Ingmar?
That was of course, that was his nod to Mr. Bergman, I think. But
and they lit a house on fire. Is that a Bergman movie or is that a Tarkovsky movie? That the famous
Tarkovsky.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, The Sacrifice. It did make me wonder, was it a lie that it only happens 90 years? Is this something that happens every year?
I was confused by that. Dave, are you confused by that as well?
Matter. It doesn't matter if it's a lie or not, I guess.
She said the lady that runs this whole thing, the administrator, was like, "Oh, this happens once every 90 years, so it's really special." And you're like, "Wait a second, I thought this literally happens every year."
The festival happens every year. I just don't know if
I think the sacrifice was once every 90, because there were everything in it. Like, there was a ton of stuff that was revolved around the number 9.
But 90,
but people definitely
not 9,
die
like 90.
every year, right? Like, people over 72 must jump off a cliff every year. So there were certain. It doesn't really matter. All right, here's a theme that another thing that I luckily I wasn't thinking about it. I was wrapped up in a lot of other emotions, but there's absolutely some commentary on these Americans specifically. And I'm saying Americans because I don't think the Londoners did it, right? They ran screaming.
Yeah.
The Americans came in there trying to exploit something. Not her.
Also,
she did. Yeah. She came along for the ride. She just didn't want to be alone. I don't know.
And
what,
they were
right?
told, like, I'm most happy for you. And of course we can sit here and be like, well, it's the May Queen
but
thing.
Also, yeah,
but
the Americans were able to compartmentalize.
So,
Yeah.
hold on. One at a
But I
time.
think,
Yeah.
well, I think for her, like it's sold as like the May Queen, that we want you to be the May Queen and what. But I think it's more of the rebirth. Like we want you are the exemplar of like loss that you're at the bottom. But if we do these things, you can be reborn.
Yeah.
And I think
I
that's
think
part of the
Pele
smile.
knew that when
I'm
he
not saying
was on
she's
the couch
reborn
with
at
her
the
at the
end.
beginning.
I'm not saying she's reborn at the end, but I think the potential for the worst case scenario, and then you go through this festival with this, and the gods will reward you, and you'll be anointed and exalted. You know, I feel like that smile. That's what it was for me. I don't know what it is for everybody else, but anyway, Dave, what were you gonna say?
I was just saying, I wonder was the statement about how the Americans were able to turn a blind eye to what they perceived as like an evil thing because they wanted something.
Those two.
Yes,
Yeah,
and the
that was a
Brits
little.
were like,
and they were,
fuck this shit.
The Brits were like, this is bullshit. I need to get the fuck out of here. But the Americans become compartmentalizing the fucked up shit they saw because they wanted a thesis or they wanted this or, the
and the
other
book
poor
was probably
bastard,
a ruse,
like,
right? The book missing.
the other poor bastard that pissed on the tree. I was just waiting for him to die because he was the worst human.
Oh, he was gonna die. Well, he was the most famous out of the kids, I think, at the time. And so as soon as they were like, and oh my god, what the fuck is his name? The British guy. He was in the Bear for like a minute. And Will Poulter. I was like, okay, and means he's dying. This is a cameo role.
And a brief appearance by.
Because he was already in like
but it does-
We Are
it does
the
make
Millers
on this
and stuff.
rewatch, though, I didn't notice that when the guy
Maze
who was
Runner.
taking photos of the Bible, when the guy that smacked him was actually wearing his face.
Yeah.
I didn't notice
The
that the first time
faces,
round.
that was, yeah. The face.
We don't know who it is. You think it's the guy who got mad at him for peeing on the tree?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Isn't he the guy who dies at the end? Doesn't he go into the hut
I think he does.
with Ingmar?
I think he
No.
does.
It's
Yeah.
Ingmar and him, right?
No, because that guy was older. I thought
'Cause-
that guy was older.
I
thought he was-
remember reading somewhere like if you actually frame by frame that sequence, you can see. No, I think it was Pele that knocked him in the head.
Oh.
But yeah, you can see
His
in the
own
background
friend?
someone standing there.
His own friend knocked him in the head?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's fucked. Yeah, his friend did him all so
What do you think
dirty.
it was? What do you think it was? Hold on, I don't want to abandon this just yet. So you're saying I think we're on the same page about the Americans wanting something, except for her. But when so this was all kind of preordained by Pele, and I guess he knew it was his responsibility to bring these people. But do you think he was just excited once her family died that he was like, I can save her? Do you think it really was that? Because when they're reacting to the cliff deaths, she reacts appropriately.
Yeah.
And does freak out and says, what was that? Why is everybody responding normally? I can't be here. I can't do this. And he goes and talks to her.
Yeah,
And that's when he makes his pitch.
And do you remember?
So-
Yeah, exactly.
So is it really that simple that he thought there's a place for you with us and it's like out of altruism? What did they
Maybe.
get from the May Queen? Because I kept thinking by the end of this movie, they were going to kill her. I thought she was the ultimate sacrifice. I thought the May Queens were burned by, they were the main people
Yeah, she went around
that
and
are sent into
she went
that.
around and blessed the
she's-
stuff and
The
yeah.
May Queen, the reason that they do the maypole every year on the summer solstice, and this I studied this in German class when I was there. It's all about the rebirth. So you can't kill the May Queen. In fact, they immortalized the May Queen. So that's why I'm surprised in hindsight, watching it twice, that everybody else gave her this. And I mean, maybe it was just to get her, because I still think like they could have won. But I'm surprised because you are immortalized, right? You go into the barracks and they have all the May Queens from ever there. And they say like, we need the May Queen to bless the crops. May Queen is all about rebirth. It's the summer solstice. You are in charge of the rebirth. And so I was, again,
also-
this is one of those things where there's no answers to it, but the way that she looks, the way Florence responds, the way, and Jack Ranor, no disrespect to him because he's a great actor, I think, but like, they washed him. He was not, I feel like he wasn't even in charge of himself. He did his job and they were like, okay, we're going to, I feel like they owned him in this movie, whether it's the Swedish gang, whether it's her, whether it's
once
the
the
director.
power shifted, yeah, definitely.
I mean,
They're
I,
just
I
that
I
guess
kind
so.
of a sociopath leading up to that. He just didn't care about anything but what he was focused on.
Heavy-handed for sure, but yeah, I mean,
But he also had that rune, like that girl was like casting spells on his, like while he was
and
there.
then the flowers and stuff, and he had the mushrooms, and he probably shouldn't have
Yeah.
drank the thing. But like, nah, you're fine, drink the mushrooms.
Probably shouldn't have ate
that was the same
starting
girl.
from there, I felt like there was some redemption for him when he was trying to not drink that last, I feel like he knew he was going to do something bad. I don't think he was just thinking, I'm scared. I think he knew, like, I'm in a bad position, and if I do this, I don't know what's going to happen, not just to me, but to others.
Yeah.
When he was running out naked, not that we're not going to know the answer to this, so I'm sorry to ask the question. It's a stupid hypothetical, but do you think he would have been punished and killed if he hadn't snuck into that, and found the British guy from Gran Turismo hanging in the...
It does seem to be like everything worked out perfectly for the Swedish cult. It does seem to be that way.
Because they did sacrifice 2 of their own. So it does make me wonder, like, was the agenda cleanly bring as many people as you can, are pilgrims, which apparently there are only 2, because Ingmar and Pele were the only ones who brought people, and we'll also kill whoever else we need to kill.
I think he was already on down.
It does kind of leave you wondering.
They specify you have to choose between a random member of our community and a preordained outsider. And he was the only one left.
So they are the outsiders.
But she had the choice.
Yeah.
But she had the choice, which again goes into this rebirth theme, but also he could have been spared. That also means she
had a choice,
him,
but she couldn't move or speak. So it's like,
and again, this brings you very, very back to like we're saying it literally now. She chose to get over her grief. She killed someone else.
But also
was transactional.
But also just for fun, we didn't get to see that actual conundrum. We saw the question. We saw her face.
You're right.
We saw her face when she took in that information, and then we saw him in the bear suit in the flame, basically. So we don't really know what happened, what transpired, but in theory,
dude, she's gonna wake up the next day after that bad trip, and she's gonna be like, "What just happened?"
Yeah,
she's gonna wake up the next day, not tripping anymore, surrounded in flowers, and be like, "Where are all the people I came here with? What happened last night?" Can you imagine? She was tripping the whole day, basically. They were like, "You're going with the women today," and they took that shit pretty early.
I can't believe she made it to the end. Everybody else was smiling, and she was about to throw up.
Was the trip she took at the beginning still going? Did any of that happen?
No, I think those are just mushrooms, right?
Yeah. They even
it was just mushrooms, but there's
so that's a fun callback, Dave, because you remember when they found her, she had fallen asleep.
Yeah,
and she says something like, "Did I go dark?"
Did it get dark? Yeah.
Did she say, was that the line? Did it get dark? Did it get dark?
Yeah.
Well, because she woke up and it was sunny. Basically, it was her way of saying, "Did I sleep through the night?" But the writer was smart enough to try to remind us that it doesn't get dark there.
And it's Ari Astor. And so
then she woke up on her birthday.
That's a fun little callback to, like, we don't really know what happened to her other than terrible things she was experiencing before it cut away to her waking up after that. You know she's going to wake up after, whenever she goes to sleep and wakes up after this day. She might have been smiling now, but she's going to wake up and probably want to kill herself.
Also, that sister's face with the hose that kept showing up all the way through it.
Yeah. That was horrible.
Like,
I'm glad they didn't overuse that.
I mean, it was there a lot, but they didn't overuse it. Like, it was just
I feel like it was...
If you notice it, you notice it. If you don't, it's a throwaway.
I feel like it was 3 really good times. The first time, obviously, was not good, but you know what I mean? Like, boom, that really lands. That's a terrifying thing to show in the first 10 minutes of your movie. The cliffs, right after that, when she's hallucinating and it flashes, she looks at the cliffs and then they're at the cliffs. And then the burning barn. Was there another one?
Yeah, when she runs into that hut.
There was another one.
Just takes the mushrooms. There's a splash of light across the background and the sister's sitting there. But it's weird.
And when she sees her mom, when they're walking, when all these fuckers are walking around her, and she's like, "Mom," like, oh, God damn. All right, here's a specific question. This is very specific, and I don't even know if it has any consequence, but I thought it was a weird thing, and I couldn't figure out what was happening. After, if it's Pele, hits, what was his name? Mark?
Mm-hmm.
The guy who was taking pictures of their holy book.
The guy from the other place. Yep.
The black dude.
From the good place.
The other place. The good place. Yeah, the guy from the good place. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys notice when he's making he's making that noise, but then it shows him.
Josh is his character's name.
He's going like this.
Yeah.
Was somebody fucking him?
No, he's got a head injury. That's a head injury twitch.
All right, you thought it was just from twitching from his head.
I don't think
okay.
Severe brain damage. They clocked him.
And I think the book thing was also fucked. I think that was just fucking with him too. I think that other like crazy incest guy he didn't take the book. He just took a picture. He didn't touch the book. I think that all of it, they were fucking with him the whole time. Yeah. But again, the whole community was unified and they're happy to fuck with these people for the sake of this greater purpose. And as silly as that might be, even in the rewatch, there's things that stay with you that's just like really
I feel like that
terrifying.
was like a Wonka test almost, and he failed it.
Guys,
Which is kind of the question when you're rewinding, when you're reverse engineering movies like this, you do kind of, maybe they're not holes in plot or anything, but there might be some roadblocks in logic where you ask, but if that didn't happen, how would the story have moved forward
right.
for the cult? Like,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I guess the answer is he solved it by saying, well, at the end of the day, the May Queen's going to choose who has to die anyway. We just hope it's the outsiders.
Yeah.
And
So
the
that we don't
sexual
have to keep
intercourse thing,
sacrificing our own people.
I feel like another big thing is after the intercourse where the women who know that she shouldn't see this, first of all, why did they let her back in time? But then afterwards, they're like, that's not for you. And they know what's going on. And it's crazy. First of all, I can't believe he got it up. He was on mushrooms and he is in a weird place with the flowers and the guy with
We
the
also
flower.
had the aphrodisiac they gave
strange.
him as well.
Yeah, they gave him that for your vitality.
Aphrodisiac doesn't sound like going to give you a really long-lasting boner. But anyway, that's just me. But
That yew tree, baby.
But then, yeah, which you also give people that you're killing. So anyway, but then the women follow her back and they like take on her pain. And I feel like there's so much there too that I think we got to leave it there. I think we got to leave it and tell people like, I think the moral of the story is we had a lot of good conversations here. John, you've never seen this movie before. You were not necessarily looking forward to it. Dave, you and I had seen it before. We were not necessarily looking forward to the rewatch of it. But
yeah,
I kind of want a third watch now to do it again. But it's like, I guess the movie's going to stand the test of time. It was one of those 2019 movies where the people that didn't love movies and the people that did love movies were talking about it, and it made me skeptical. And I feel like it's just one of those movies that we're going to be talking about for a long time, and it's going to stand the test of time.
And I'll leave it at this. This is not a one-off. Ari Astor is a brilliant filmmaker. Like that's why.
Yeah.
Let's play this. I just want to play this game really quickly because I think you guys will have some fun. You said at the beginning, like the test of, for a lot of people's careers is, can you do it again? And then of course, can you keep doing it? But there are some one-hit wonders.
Right.
So every really great filmmaker that you've ever heard of kind of pulled off that magic trick. I'm just going to go down the list and tell me if you guys can tell me what their second film is and what their first film was. Christopher Nolan.
Memento is probably a second film.
Yep. After, what was his first film? Following. James Cameron. What was his second film? This kind of blew my mind because I forgot it. This is a fun piece of trivia.
I think Aliens was James Cameron's first as a director, right?
Terminator?
No.
Aliens was his second?
Terminator is his second. Piranha 2 was his first, which was a successful second.
Yeah.
David Fincher. Because a lot of people count, right? Alien 3 is the first one. 7 was his second.
Wow. Okay.
Greta Gerwig, Lady Bird, Francis Ha, Richard Linklater, Slacker was his second. The list goes on and on.
Coogler's the best. Fruitvale Station, Creed. 1, 2.
Creed,
and then of course Black
Tarantino, Pulp Fiction, After Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah. Paul Thomas Anderson,
Boogie Nights,
Hard 8.
What was Steven Spielberg's second film?
1941.
Jaws.
Oh, because the first one was Sugarland Express. Yeah.
Sugarland, that's fucking great.
But he made TV movies.
Taxi Driver. I know, but still, the point stands.
Taxi Driver was, Mean Streets, but that wasn't, Alice Doesn't Live Here was before, anyway, whatever. Yeah, go ahead.
Francis Ford Coppola. My point is, I think sometimes when we talk on this podcast, you tune in and you're listening for a movie, and I guess the point to make is kind of just how we've been saying about his other films. He's getting to that place now where like he's proved consistently 3 times, and I'm sure he's going to keep doing it, that he's a filmmaker to watch. There's even if you don't like watching the movie, there is something to get from someone who is that talented at making movies. So this is a challenging film. I'm not saying everyone should go watch it, but if you're into cinema and you want to see someone working at a very high level, you can still appreciate and enjoy this movie without liking it. Just how I felt about Beau is Afraid.
He also went for it with Beau is Afraid. That was kind of his Magnolia, if you will. But
see, I enjoyed Beau is Afraid.
That's a good comp.
I did too. I did too. But if I didn't see it at home, if I didn't see it in the theaters at home, people would be like, "What the fuck is going on?" I'd be like, "I can't explain this."
It was
So
much
he
better
goes,
in IMAX.
100%. The IMAX was amazing. So Hereditary, Midsommar, Pandemic, Beau was afraid. So he went for it, and then he probably overshot based on response and based on a million other things. His next movie is going to be the one that's going to set him straight. So I bet you, like, this is like a really special time for him.
Rank your Aries. Where there's only 3. What are your ranking? Is Beau your number 1, Dave? I think sounds like
Might be Midsommar actually. Midsommar, Beau, then Hereditary, mainly because Hereditary, like I said, fucked me up. Mentally.
I think mine's the opposite. I think it's mid Hereditary, Beau for me. How about you, Jeff?
So you put mid above Hereditary?
Mm-hmm.
I think so, because you guys remember, I don't love the ending of Hereditary. I don't love when they go up. Yeah, I don't love when they go up and have the seance. I think that movie should have ended when he saw them going up, and he should have gone up, and then we should have cut to black.
I think
I didn't like the actual very last moment.
I love the highs of Hereditary are going to haunt me for the rest of my life. Midsommar will in a different way, but I think I put Midsommar just ahead because the complete picture, I think, I'm with you. And then Beau is Afraid is third, but I actually really responded to Beau is Afraid, and I would like to rewatch it, but I need some time with it. I need some time.
And once again, Ari, I hope you're okay. Call me. Call
me. Is everything okay?
If you or someone you know is considering, honestly, right?
Considering watching Ari.
Call your mom. Call your mom or Patty LuPone. But if they don't answer, you can call us. It's okay.
Fearless filmmaker. All right, that was great.
For all of us.
Thanks for making me watch it. That was really tough. It was a tough watch, but I'm really glad I did it.
Yeah.
For all of us, I started on Thursday, and I was like, I'm going to watch it, and I knew I wanted to watch something with Angela, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it through the end of this. And then she saw I was into it, and she's like, just keep going. And honestly, the 2.5 hours flew by. I thought it was going to be laborious. I thought, not laborious like it was a chore, but like, I thought the movie weighs a lot on you because I had seen it before. I just couldn't stop watching it. It was like a binge watch. I couldn't stop. It was great.
That's good to know. Because I don't know when I'm going to want to rewatch this. You guys each waited
5 years.
Mine was about 2 years.
Yeah. 5 years?
Oh, okay.
All right. That sounds about right. Okay. That was great.
What you been watching? This is where we tell you what we've been watching, give you our recommendation for the week. Mine's going to be very short. Dave, we like to start with you. You said you wanted to wait until the end of the segment to talk about what you've been watching. So let's go. What do you got?
Do you want to do that other thing first?
Fuck, we got to spin. Shit. All right, tell us.
Another thing.
Fuck. All right, Dave, tell us what year we're going to be talking about.
All right, let's see where we're going.
I'll tell you the movie at the end of the episode.
Anyone want to guess?
2019 3 times.
94.
86.
Here we go.
1, 9. 50s. We're going back to the 50s, baby.
Yeah.
1957.
You know what's funny?
All right.
Mine put the wrong one up. Yours put the right one up. That was so weird.
What did yours put up?
Last week's.
Okay.
Oh, well, I'm
1957.
1957, people.
1957.
We're not going to sit here and Google movies, even though I see John reaching for his keyboard. Don't you do it, John.
Doing it right
Don't you do it.
I'm doing it.
No,
I don't know
1957.
I just did it. It's over. I have my choice. Go.
Dave, what you been watching?
Well, this
I
week.
have to pee again. I'm going to make you wait during our break.
I finished up Creature Commandos, which is James Gunn's first foray into DC, and it's an animated show.
Okay.
If you like your animated DC stuff,
where does he find the time?
Right. I mean, he's doing Superman. He's
running the studio now.
And running the studio. Well, there's two people running the studio.
See, there you go.
Still.
Yeah, but Creature Commandos is it's kind of like Suicide Squad. Well, it's basically Suicide Squad, but it's the creatures. So they've introduced like Frankenstein and all that sort of stuff into the DC that they had there for a while. If you like your animated show with a lot of gratuitous sex and violence, this is the one for you. And it's funny and it's cute.
Animated shows with sex and violence. Yeah. Let's go.
You get some Weasel backstory. It's great. And I got to see it's out now on Paramount Plus. I got to attend the premiere, or the preview, sorry, of Section 31, the new Star Trek film, first Star Trek film in 9 years. Sorry, Michelle Yeoh. And I'm not gonna. I've seen it 3 times since. Like I watched it. I had to watch it twice that day, and then I watched it again the next day with my wife. And yeah, we just had a ball watching it. It was fun. It's not like any Star Trek you've ever seen before.
Where did you watch it with Therese?
On Paramount Plus the next day, because we got the preview the day before it came out, and then the next day it dropped, and I'm like, I want to see what you think of this. And she
went
loved
straight to Paramount. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, no,
okay.
it's out in Paramount
Nice.
Plus. They kind of went. This is going to be a TV series. No wait, it's going to be a movie, but we're still going to give you a TV budget.
Sure.
And so yeah, it's
Anything?
it's fun.
It's good.
It's fun.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's like Star Trek doing Mission Impossible almost.
I fucking love it. Another Mission Impossible coming out soon. Anything else, Dave?
That's it.
John.
We're still watching The Americans, and we're not like flying through it, but like at the end of every episode, I'm like, God, that's good. Like, it's a really good show.
It was in my crossword puzzle this week.
Nice.
Good.
We watched, and we didn't quite finish, but we did start and got at least like episode 8 or 9 or something of Landman, the Billy Bob
You're the
Thornton, Taylor
second person.
Sheridan.
Did you get to
Yeah,
the? Did you get to
second person to
the Jerry
mention this.
Jones episode? Did you get to the Jerry Jones episode?
I don't know
Yep.
if we have yet.
The
Why
owner
does
of the
that sound
Cowboys.
familiar though?
The owner of the Cowboys, where John Hamm's on a hospital bed. No, nothing. Okay, cool.
Yeah, he's been on a hospital bed already for at least one episode or two.
Jerry
episodes.
Jones comes in, talks about
Anyway.
his family. Doesn't matter.
All right, so we'll get there. I am very, very interested in the business aspects of that show and all the commentary and the way he's kind of dissecting how we think of the big oil industry. I just don't really understand what he's doing with the family dynamics and the characters and stuff. Like, I just want to know about the oil. I don't care
Right.
at all about the people involved. And maybe that's just me, and maybe everybody's really excited about it. There's way too much country music for my taste. Like, dear God, like so many needle drops. It's like, okay, I get it. I know who the show is aimed
Yeah.
at. Like, chill out. But I'm going to finish it. I think Billy Bob is, phenomenal. And I'm really interested in what they're talking about with the oil and gas stuff. So if you give a shit about that, maybe give it a watch. Jeff, unless you're about to say it, I just want to put it out there. Neither of you started Tokyo Vice after my pitch last week.
I
God damn
wanted to. I thought about it.
I didn't have time
We're 2
last week.
seasons in. I'm behind.
Do
I haven't
it!
finished Squid Game.
All right, there. Hold on. My last thing, because I just started it, so I don't have anything really to say. But I did just started. I'm 2 episodes into the old HBO series Rome, which I'd never ever
That's fun.
took a chance on
Watched a
ever.
little bit of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm having fun. I don't know if I'm going to keep going, but everybody said it's really good. It's got a super high rating.
love it.
so I
I
hope
sort of
it's
went
good.
for it. Yeah.
They went for it. Yeah. My turn. Okay, I watched Deadpool and Wolverine. I did. I finally did it, Dave. It was
Yay.
really, really fun. It was really, really, really fun. It took me a second to get into it. I love Emma Corrin for sure, but I also just love
Nice.
I just love Ryan Reynolds getting Hugh back into the game. Like, just the setup was great. I didn't really need anything else, but they did stick the landing. They got their and I really enjoyed
I still haven't seen
the Loki series, where we're doing the time hops and stuff. And so, like, to go into this where it's sort of an extension of that as far as the time loops and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh, if we do this, we can reset the time. That's not my favorite, like, gimmick in the world. It's like, if we do this, we can set all of the universal time streams right. Like, that's not my usual thing. But I do feel like they actually pulled it off and they did it in a fun way. That wasn't just like fuck it, whatever, it'll work. Like, they actually like genuinely cared about the timelines, but also let the characters be loose and free and funny. And I thought it was really
I feel
fun
like it
movie.
had
So
the
there you go.
best villain line of last year, where is like, "Why are you like this?" And she's like, "I wish I knew,"
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Yeah,
but she's laughing as she says it.
that's good. And I'm sure there's more Severance stuff to come because Severance is still
Yeah.
new. Although I've now talked to 2 different people who worked for Severance who said that it was a very difficult show to work for, which is funny because the whole show is about your work-life balance. So I'm going to go ahead and put that out there. And I
Yeah.
feel like there's going to be a great book
That's funny.
or documentary about how the show Severance doesn't live up to its own standards. And it's a social experiment. The show is a social experiment for, can you do a television show that doesn't feel like Severance, where you have to sever your personal life and your work life because doing overnight shoots that are miserable for months at a time on the show about how you need a good work-life balance.
Yeah, well, that's what
really
drugs are
interesting.
for. You're just-
All right, people, we're going to take a quick break so that I can pee and we can choose if John wants to see the bridge over River Kauai or Pal Joey. We're going to figure it out right now, and I can't wait. Maybe he's going to say Old Yeller. Who knows? But we're going to talk about it in a second. Listen to some Dasein. We're going to give you our final suggestion for next week. We're going to keep this episode under 2 hours right now.
Jeez.
Take 2 seconds, Film Fans. We'll be right back.
And we're back.
And we're back.
Literally, we're back.
Guys, so many things to choose from. We are not doing the bridge over River Kauai to John's chagrin. We are instead, since we've been talking about Sweden all episode here on our Midsommar episode, we are going back to Sweden to talk about the seventh seal. Dave, are you excited?
I'm a bit excited. It kind of reminds me
Bergman.
of like Bill and Ted's sequel.
Is
Death
it?
in
Is
it?
that what it's for? This? Oh yeah, with death. Yeah. The images are terrible. John, this is our second. John, keep us in check. This is our second Bergman that we're doing on the episode, right? That we're doing on the show.
I think so. Through a Glass Darkly, I think it's the only other one we've done.
Can't wait. Second Bergman, 1957, The Seventh Seal. Watch it on Criterion or Max. Follow along. Send us some notes. Can't wait to talk to you. We got a voicemail.
This will be a
See you
first
next
watch
week,
for
film
me, too.
fans. Fuck yeah, me too. Can't wait. Until then, film fans.